How do you network?
Day to day, like I just run a fairly modest amount of ads and then see who like sort of resonates with it, see who gets in touch, see where the conversations go. There's a big push in the industry at the moment to like be a bit more of like a salesperson, and to be like chasing people a little bit more, which is totally fair enough. But it's, in my experience, it's not been the way to like generate the most, authentic projects. So I kind of like see who just resonates with what I do, see who like gets in touch, see where the conversations go, and just keep putting everything out there. Like, I think as long as I have a project to work on, I've always got something to push. And it, at the end of the day, it's like the quality of that project is what is gonna attract people to what's being done. So I kind of like keep in my own corner in that respect, and then just run a modest amount of ads and like hope for the best with that.
During the last 15 years of your experience of being a sound engineer, working with sound, and having a studio, if you want to give few tips to artists.
At the moment, there's like a little bit of a perspective issue, like in the music industry. Like, I think people are forgetting a little bit like what the point of making music is, and I think people just get a little bit too emotionally invested in the part of the process that comes after you release the music. And like, I do it myself, like everyone's going to do it. Like, you make something that you're proud of and you make yourself vulnerable and you make some music that you love. Like, you are going to on some level be affected by like the follow-up to releasing it. But I think people are too invested in that part of the process at the moment, and I've seen it a few times where people like make something awesome, like just really, really great, and it doesn't do enough numbers, so they get disillusioned with it, and like they're disappointed. But it's like no, like you've done the process. The process is great. You sound great. Like, what you've created is awesome. Like, you've done a wonderful job. But the landscape of releasing music at the moment leans itself in towards like disillusioning people a little bit. Like, it's hard to get organic traction, and people want, that validation of like, oh, like you've made something and it's brilliant. And if they don't get that feedback, it's sort of like it's a technological sort of issue. Like, the way that music is released is kind of like, it's awesome, but at the same time, it's difficult. And I really want people to like remove themselves from that situation, remove themselves from the release, like validation stage, and just kind of like check their own boxes. Like, do I love this song that I've written? Do I love how it sounds? Have I been honest? Have I put myself into this? If the answer is like yes to all of the above, like, you've done the process, you're awesome. Like, don't let the landscape of the music industry afterwards make you feel any differently to how you felt when it felt good to record that thing.
I've seen it a lot as well. You put something out there and you don't really see anything in return, like don't see a very like 10 million views or whatever. So, oh, this is not working, I'm not gonna do this anymore. If that's life, you're gonna have to change your career every single day. Because
yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Because that's not the way it happens.
It's not how you should relate to the art that you've created.
Absolutely.
Like, the art that you created is one thing, and then social media and everything else is like, it's a whole other thing. And like, you've got to separate yourself, and it is so hard to do. That's the problem. Like, because I work in the industry, I've been around this a long time. I know, like, objectively in my heart and soul, that is correct. You have to separate yourself from the two. Do I still get a little bit like, I can't believe that only got 15 likes. I can't believe that only got like 20 views. Like, I do, because it's in our nature. Like, we want validation, we want approval, because that's how we work.
And we want everything fast as well.
Yeah.
I blame Amazon for it. Because
Damn it, Bezos.
yeah, because the bar of expectation goes higher and higher.
Yeah.
Because we just order something and it's going to be delivered like in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And if we think everything in life works the same way, you know, we put a video out there or we produce a song or whatever, we sing a song, and I'm going to be successful with that one song.
To be honest with you, like, I struggle myself, like, seeing people go through the process when, like, people get a bit disheartened that they didn't get, like, the numbers or the engagement that they want, because it's like I've seen people get, like, really disheartened by it and, like, a bit disillusioned and discouraged, and it's like it's hard for me to see, because I know that we've done the process, like, awesome, and that they're brilliant. And it's, if you can do it, if you can separate yourself, or just try to separate yourself, like, be aware that you need to do it, you'll be like 10, 20, 30% better at the craft, because you'll know where to put your focus and where not to put your focus. And then in the middle is human nature, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Don't get me wrong, go on and still use all those TikTok trends and surf on them.
The
right?
The tools.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. But make sure when you finish doing the video, put it back, as you said, put it back in the toolbox and go have your dinner. And if you're consistent enough, one day you will grow and grow and grow and grow. One day it will become a thing, you know, and your song will be heard by millions. And
I 100% agree. Like, a big realization that I've sort of been coming to the past couple of years is, like, so there's a podcast called the Huberman podcast. He's like a scientist in the US, but
I love the guy.
Man, he's so good.
Yeah,
like,
he's brilliant.
He deserves every little bit of success he gets. But a realization I came to listening to him was, like, you know, he uses himself as a subjective measure of how healthy he is. So he's like, how do I feel? Like, he does an assessment on it, and then, because he's a scientist and he's a genius and he has access to all sorts of different, like, supplements and lifestyle choices, he tries things and he's like, subjectively, how did that make me feel? Can I recommend it? In my experience, this is what's happened. But the realization it's made me come to is, like, your experience of reality is just your subjective moment there and then. And how much of that is, like, hormonal, chemical, like, physical, a result of what you did 3 days ago, a result of what you're eating, like,
absolutely,
how much all of these like, aspects compound into how you feel in the moment, and that is life.
Absolutely.
Like, that just, it's a great realization. But I just wish I had, like, a few more £100 a month to spend on supplements now. But it's important, isn't it? Like,
absolutely.
At the end of the day, like, if you have all of these, like, material things that we've been talking about, if you have it all, but, like, you feel awful, like,
don't get me wrong,
not the way to be.
Wealth is amazing. And it's brilliant. Having a Lamborghini and a Bugatti and a mansion is brilliant. But if you're not healthy, all of them don't 100%. Mean a thing. All of them don't mean
There's nothing more direct in life than health.
Absolutely.
Like, how, like, if you're unhealthy and you can't get out of bed and you don't know when you're going to get better and you feel awful, like, that is life.
I think,
like, right there, if that's happening.
I think that's something that should be taught in a school. Honestly, guy.
Day one, listen.
Day one, lesson one. Unfortunately, in a school all around the world, they don't teach us how to handle our financial angle of our life. They don't teach us how to handle our mental and physical angle out of our life. And they don't teach us how to do a lot of simple things in life.
I totally agree with you. On the other side of the coin, I can completely see how it'd be a problem, like, getting a load of kids together and being like, right, this is the doctrine of life, guys. Like, this is how you live. Totally agree with you, though. Like, it's very important for a human being to, like, know and understand the things that are gonna give them at least a subjectively happy life.
Absolutely.
Or not miserable.
Tell me, do you think talent exists?
Talent definitely exists, but I just think it's more widespread than we've been told.
Okay.
I think I think the majority of people are talented. Like, the vast majority of people are talented.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that old, like, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, you'll think a fish is stupid kind of thing. Like,
Sure.
yeah, no, talent 100% definitely exists.
So what do you think about work ethic? So if I'm not talented, but I have like a crazy work ethic, do you think I would be still to make it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to like make it within a field that your attributes like actually have a use for, and like your attributes actually fit in for, like there's no point forcing yourself to be a lawyer if like your mind just doesn't get there. Like, you can probably get qualified, you could probably be a professional, but you might get to a court case and ruin someone's life. Like, you've got to know that you put in the effort and discipline and sacrifice into something that you belong in. So I think that's step one, is like finding the thing or the things or whatever it is that makes you feel like you're in a good place, like that makes you feel like you are where you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Then apply the discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Don't apply the discipline on like something that you've started on a whim that you're probably not supposed to be doing, that you don't fit into, because it's not going to be good for anyone.
I think that parent supervision in those early stages of life, it's important to give us a better kind of understanding of what life really is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I let my mind to decide whatever that brings pleasure to it, just go toward that, and whatever brings pain, get away from it. I might be misdirected to a direction that might not be a good place to be. Does it make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think like if you like you say, like if you were gonna write the textbook, the rule book on life, you'd say like, ideally your parents are applying the right levels of supervision, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's so many people that are successful, like from that come from less privileged backgrounds. They don't even have parents and things like that. There's no hard and fast way to prescribe like your path in life to get to a successful point. But on what you were saying about like being guided by pain and pleasure, like that's really important in there, because if you are guided purely by pleasure, you're not going to end up somewhere good, are you?
Sure.
You're gonna get yourself into a bad place if you're just purely guided by pleasure.
If there are three things that you can name them and you can say, okay, if you have these three elements, you would be able to make it.
Purely in terms of making it, the three things you need are either a ridiculous lightning stroke of luck, like we were saying, an enormous team of people behind you.
Oh, teamwork, absolutely.
A lot of like the majorly successful people that you see that you compare yourself to, like they have a lot of people behind them.
Surrounded with a great team.
Yes.
Surrounded with a great team.
All the hats that you're wearing as an independent artist, it's like I'm my own PR agent, I'm my own photographer, I'm like all those hats are distributed to people that specialize in those fields, and then that is the team that is behind like a lot of successful artists. And if you don't understand that, like it's easy to think like, how the hell am I not making it? Like why am I not like making progress? Why am I not getting to like where they are? And luck just plays a part. Like you might spend 20 grand on an album and it might not do you a lot of favors. You might take 3 minutes making an iPhone video and it might change your life when it goes on the internet. Like
True.
there's no exact science that I'm aware of to it. Like
True.
Right time, right place, stroke of luck, hand of God, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like independent artists who don't have a team, sometimes they do make it because they just hit the right beat at the right time and they just release something and the world is rife. The world is ripe and ready for it. 3 things you need if you want to like build yourself to make it. I think number one is finding where you're supposed to be. And that's a bit of a harsh way of saying things, because we're always going to have imposter syndrome. So like some people might like stumble at hurdle number one because of imposter syndrome, but they're actually awesome. Like they're actually brilliant at this thing that they're doing, but they just doubt themselves. So that's a hard point to push, because
Well, I think that's one of the points of being a human being, because I gotta realize that like all these feelings are not gonna be at the 100% all the time.
no.
Life is a like ocean of emotions. You go up and down. One day you feel really self-assured. Another day you feel like, oh my God, is that right?
Yeah.
Should I do this?
Yeah.
Is that really? Should I get like a better job?
You're right. And it can be easy in those moments to give up on something that you shouldn't give up on.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, like you say, if you're going through a day where you're not self-assured and like you're going through your doubts and you have your questions, and then like something tips you over the edge, like towards those feelings that you're having, and then all of a sudden like you stop doing something that you would otherwise be good at. Like that's so possible. But if there was a step one, it would just be make sure that you're passionate and you care about this thing that you're doing. Like if you care about it, like, and if you love it and you're passionate about it, like you've got your step one. Step two is, I'm going to say step two would be like a plan, because like if you put step two as discipline, like you can, like I've been guilty of this over the years, like if you have step one, you've got something you're passionate about, and then you apply discipline to it, you can apply rigorous discipline in the totally wrong direction. So step two would be like have a plan, and I think a plan is a really like a sort of underestimated and underutilized area of what we're talking about, because a plan can be a lot of things. Like a plan can be like, where do I want to be in 10 years? A plan can be, what am I going to do for the next 3 days? Like there can be all sorts of different plans according to your life happening on so many different levels all the time. So like it can be really hard to like actually have a plan and a strategy, but getting a long, medium and a short term plan based on what you care about and where you want to be, I'd say is a really good start.
Mm-hmm.
There's a million different ways to do it. Like I can't say what's right for anyone in terms of how they're going to do that.
Sure.
And then just work at it and endure.
Ed, if you weren't a musician, who would you be?
I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. I've been pretty in the weeds of this industry and path for so long. I have absolutely no idea. Hopefully something good. Hopefully something good. Hopefully
So you can't even imagine your life without music?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully something useful, like a doctor or a carer or someone who gives value to society and makes society better.
Sure.
Something good, hopefully.
Okay. If you want to make a prediction that how we're going to consume music in 20 years.
Someone's going to put in a code of impulses into a neural network that goes into your brain and makes you feel music.
Wow.
Through the wires.
Wow.
It's going to be like...
I think Elon Musk is doing something.
Well,
have you seen like the chip that is putting back in?
AirPods freak me out a little bit.
Oh.
Because like, so I've always listened to music and like I've always had the wire. But recently, like I've just been borrowing my other half's AirPods, and it's like, okay, so I put them in, and when you put them in, because of the way that it blocks out sound, it's a bit like, oh, I'm kind of disappearing into like a little bit of a internal world
into
here.
a shadow, yeah.
But then music sounds great on them. So it's like the bass is like full, so it's like I'll take the dogs for a walk and I'll put a song on and the song is like, sounds great. But then it's like very insular at the same time. You kind of like just disappearing into your vehicle. So it's like, it's strange like that, but I think that's the way that it's
going.
I mean, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because that would like sort of indicate that society hasn't destroyed itself. Like, that would be definitely better than some of the more dystopian directions that reality could take. So if we get to a point where we're listening to music and it's through different means, but we still love it, like, hopefully we're doing okay.
Hopefully. 3 things that you want to promise yourself when you walk out of here today, that you want to promise yourself. If it's a long-term goal, you want to start doing it, and if it's a short-term thing, you want to do it.
Okay, so one thing, promising myself, like bucket list style, I promised myself to master something outside of music to like a high level, just to go through the process of like being a beginner or something again. So yeah, I promised myself to master another field to a high level outside of this. Another promise to myself is I'm gonna look after my parents. Like I have to be able to like look after my parents like when the time comes. That's something that means a lot to me. And if all of the sacrifice and discipline and hardships and grit, like if none of that added up to being in a position where I could take care of my parents in their elder age, like I would be very sort of disappointed, because you know it would have been a lot of hardship to not do something that, you know, I feel is like my basic duty to take care of my parents in old age. So
that's beautiful.
That's promise number 2. Should probably shift those around actually. Like one's a bit of a bigger priority than the other.
None of them come first or second. It's just
Okay,
they're not in order.
Number 3, promise to myself that I'll just keep learning, keep improving. Hopefully.
Yeah. 3 things that you're grateful for.
So I'm grateful for a lot of things, but to narrow it down to 3, I'm grateful that life gave me the perspective that I have, even though it's a burden. I would much rather be in the mental space that I'm in now than anywhere else. So yeah, I'm grateful for, I mean, how do I even describe what that is? I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for all of the nice shiny things that I've accumulated over the years, and
all the compressors. And
yes, I am grateful for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm grateful for people, family, friends. You know, the people that I've come across over the years, and you know, the people that I hold dear to me, the people that I care about. I'm grateful for all of them.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So Ed, last words.
Nice one. Hope you're well.
Thank you
Hope you're doing
very
good.
much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, make sure you go to our description. I'm gonna put all the links to his social media down in the description. Make sure you go check it out and give him a follow. And if you are looking for a studio to mix and master, make sure you go check him out. Drop him a DM. And he's a great guy. It was such a pleasure to have you on our podcast. Thank you very,
you're doing
very
brilliant
much.
stuff here. The setup's
really
amazing. You're amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you, and I think that you're doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
That was my first impression.
Very much coming.
My first impression of you was, okay, I'll have a look at this. The person's got a great idea. They're doing what they're doing, and they're doing it well. So that was my first impression.
Thanks very much.
Well
I
done.
really appreciate it.
You're awesome.
Thank
You're really
you.
good.
Thank you.